What's going on, everyone? Chrissy with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal. We actually just got a call to go do a clean out at a senior living facility that we just did a move for last week. So we're doing that on Saturday now in the morning. So that's fun. Talk a little bit about the trailer here. I did get a 6.5 by 14 foot double axle utility trailer, not the dump trailer on the first part of the video, even though it did look nice. It looked very nice, I can't deny it. But there are a few reasons why I went with the utility trailer. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, and you can tell me I'm wrong in the comments all you want. Number one, I don't think that the ease of unloading outweighs the burden of loading a dump trailer when you factor in the point that unless you have some kind of custom ramp with it, anything dolly-wise isn't going to work going up those, and you're going to have to basically hand load everything into the truck and then get in, stand it up, and readjust it, just from what I've seen with other trailers. In addition to that, weight. The last I've seen, an empty dump trailer weighs 3,000 to 4,000 pounds. That's a hefty amount of weight before actually putting stuff in it. My current truck can pull 9,600 pounds. So I'm already knocking out almost half of that just with the tear weight of the dump trailer. So that kind of sucks. And if I'm pulling away a dump trailer with the intention of probably getting more construction debris, I wouldn't want to have that kind of limit. I've hit 3,000 pounds in my current trailer doing household stuff. So imagine filling that thing up with debris, not going to work. I'd have to upgrade my truck, and I just don't want to do that right now. So with the majority of that being said, it just wasn't something that's in my books at the moment. It wasn't even so much a cost factor because realistically, if I was going to do an aluminum build on this one plus do the wrap on it, it's going to come out just a couple thousand less. So that's not even so much an issue. It was just, I just don't think it was worth the overall burden of it. I think just the fact that you can dump at the dump isn't worth enough to specifically use that kind of trailer. The amount of times I go to the dump and I'm sitting there offloading something by hand and I think, damn, I wish I had a dump trailer. Probably like 1 in 20 jobs. And that's usually when I have like boxes of books or like boxes of paper from an office job I did, or every once in a while I'll get some kind of debris job where I pick up like a bunch of fencing or something. So overall, not a crazy amount of pros in my opinion. It's just me though. I don't mind loading my trailer and offloading the trailer. It literally does not take that much time and is not the most difficult of things to do. So that's me. But I want to talk a little bit about how I plan on building this trailer, some of the modifications I plan on making. Of course, I'll document the whole thing when it comes down to it. I'm actually excited about that. Exact reason is that I can modify it to my liking and to fit my jobs. So I'm going to have different types of hardware on there that will help me with my straps, like E-tracks. I can't really use an E-track on an aluminum build without making a really big mess. So doing it with wood is going to be beautiful. And then the fact that I can adjust it to whatever height I realistically want to, it's easier to put signage on the outside without having to do a wrap. There's just a little bit more pros to it when you don't factor in the quality of life. So I'm excited about that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what I plan on doing. This is my first trailer build, so I haven't done this before, but I have a pretty good idea of what I think is going to work. And then I know people who have done them. And when I told them the idea, they said it sounds good to me. So we're going to go with that. But if you have any objections, you can comment down below and say, hey, that would work, but maybe try this instead. I'm open to comments. The one thing I'm not going to do is a cheap build. I'm not going to just stick 2 pieces of plywood on there. I saw, what was it? I saw a YouTube video of a landscaper, I think, and he literally did 2 pieces of plywood on each side with 1 2x4 holding it upright, and then just ran a strap across. And he was like, man, all these people do all these crazy things and add all this wood and all this weight, and all you really need are just 2 sides, and you just hold it together with a strap. But then he had a video of it recording from outside of his car. This thing fucking flopping around on the highway. And I was like, I would never in my fucking life go on the highway with something like that. All you need is for that crap to come off and smack a car in the windshield. Fucking kill somebody. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do a nice secure build. It may be a little bit overboard. It may be a little bit extra weight than what I would need, but it's what I think is going to be the best, and I'm going to do what I think is best. So talk a little bit about that, and then we have to head off and do a storage unit job. So let's get to it. Now, this is my brother's house, and he has this really nice big garage that he built to store all of his cars that he likes to collect, kind of like this one, but he has a handful more. Big ass truck that I can't even afford. But unfortunately, as I'm parking here, I'm not going to be able to park inside of it. I'm going to be over on the side in the grass by the bushes. So it is what it is. Getting into the build, the objective is to make it secure and strong, but I have a very specific thing I want to do, which is to make the outside 100% smooth. So I don't want to show all the bracing on the outside of the trailer. I want it to mimic my aluminum build. So with the trailer, we would have a 4x4 post on the front corners and on the back corners. And then we would have, for the siding, I'm either going to do 2x6 boards or 2x12. I've looked it up and I've asked a contractor friend of mine, and he said structurally they're pretty much the same thing. They're just two different sizes. Most places don't need 2x12s, so it's not as often seen, but in my case it would be fine. So I'll take his word over others. And like price wise, to buy 2 of the 6s versus 112 is pretty much the same thing. It'll just be a little bit less of a headache in my opinion. So either way, I was going to do 5-foot sides, and I was talking to my helper yesterday, and I mentioned 6, and he was like, I think 6 is great. So I might do 6-foot sides. It doesn't take much to influence me when I'm already like kind of heading that direction. So I might do 6-foot sides, and then the post, and then I would do a 4x4 post top rail all the way around, except for the gate, of course, because I want that to be the most secure part. That's why I'm going to be running my ratchet straps to from side to side. That's what my E-tracks are going to go in along the top rail. So I want that to be strong. I don't want it to do like a 2x4 and have it bow over time if I really need to strap down something heavy. So I want something secure up top. And then of course I'll have my 2x4s on the inside as bracing, probably maybe like one by the first pocket and then one like a foot away from the second rail of the tire guard. And I might even do one on the front end in the middle, probably like right in front of where the jack stand is. So it'll be like right here. And I think that'll be good enough for bracing on the inside, considering how thick and like sturdy the wood will be on its own. And then I plan on using a exterior wood caulk and filling in the gaps of each board, and then sanding down the whole thing so it's a nice smooth finish. Like I don't plan on seeing, you know, the texture here or like the grooves and whatnot and things like this. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a ledge here. I don't plan on that being seen. I want it to be a smooth finish, so once I paint it, it'll almost come off as an aluminum build. That's my personal goal. How perfect we can get that, I don't know, but we're gonna try. And it's not going to cost that much money. It's not going to take that much time. So that's the game plan with that. As far as the back goes, because obviously it says 6 foot, and this is a 4-foot ramp, I might do what Junk Squad did. He has on his pickup truck barn doors at the top that goes over his tailgate, and I thought that was really freaking smart. So I might do the same thing up here and just do barn doors like a dump trailer, to where you would open that up and pin it on the side with a little hatch. And then when I'm using the trailer, like I just fold it back up, it's all good to go. And I'll just make it so it's secure enough to withstand weight and pressure coming back. Plus I'll have the 4x4 post like right here. So I can always run a ratchet strap here to keep stuff from like going against it. So we'll see. But like some things I'm going to play around with as like I do it. And some things I have like set in stone. Another thing we plan on doing is hardware. I like what I like about the wood build is that I can modify the crap out of the trailer because it's wood. It's easy to drill into. So I ordered E-Tracks on Amazon. I have an 8-pack. They're 5 feet length. I might even order a second batch because I plan on running E-Tracks horizontally. My helper said vertically because that's how moving trucks are. But I feel like horizontally would just give me more power for what I'm thinking in my head. And if I ever need to change it, I could change it. But basically, I would put the first one like halfway up, going around, just enough to hold a speed pack. And I'll talk about that in a second. The next one would be on the top rail, so when I have something tall, I can run it around to keep it from falling back and forth. Now, one of the reasons for wanting to go higher with the sides is the fact that this may just be my way of thinking. Fucking Murphy's Law, Final Destination. If anything could possibly go wrong, it will. I get so anxious about loading stuff above my walls, even with the tarp, that something is going to fall out. And when you have 4-foot sides, whether it's a dump trailer or my build is 4-foot sides too, when I have stuff up high, I intentionally got a larger tarp than what my trailer is. My other trailer is a 6.5 by 12-foot trailer. I got a 7 by 15 tarp. And the reason being is if I have one item poking up, I can still drape that tarp over it like a tent and still have the tarp meet the sides of the trailer to encompass everything inside. So that one piece standing up really high, no matter where it goes in the truck, isn't causing open space for something to potentially fall out. And that may just be me overthinking it, but that's what makes me nervous, is about something falling off the truck, a car hits it or swerves and hits the side of the road and fucking kills himself, and I either get sued or I feel really shitty about it. Either way, don't want that to happen. So that's another reason for going high up, because obviously if the tarp is higher, there's less protrusion up top that it needs to cover. So that's the game plan with that. Now, I mentioned the E-Tracks. The reason I wanted to be able to withstand and hold a speed pack is I figured because I now finally have a double axle trailer, I can hold more weight without having to be worried about the overloading of the trailer. So, construction jobs, I don't get them often, but they do come. I plan on using speed packs for it. So essentially, I did the math earlier, I can fit 6 speed packs on here comfortably with room, and I figured I can fill up a speed pack with a pretty good amount of construction debris, and I can essentially I have a lot of dollies in my garage in my storage unit. I can fit 6 speed packs on dollies, load them all individually in here, strap them off 1 at a time, well, 2 at a time so they don't roll around, and go to the dump and wheel it right off and dump it. And it'll mimic a dump trailer, except I get the pro of being able to do it at the load as well. So that's my game plan with, overcoming the fact that it's not a dump trailer when it comes to debris, but I get a double dip in it. So that's the game plan with that. Oh, the flooring, this nice wood floor that doesn't have any gaps in it, that's how my trailer was. And then 6 months later, it started to separate. And now there's little 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch gaps in it. And some of the boards, and I don't really know how to shift them back in place. That's not the biggest of deals, but it is when I have let's say a circle glass top, for example, in my trailer, and it starts to shift over time as I'm driving. I always get nervous that it's going to fall through the cracks, hit the road, and just implode. And then I'm just going to leave behind a bunch of glass as I'm driving. So, you see how my mind works? Are you starting to understand? It prepares for the worst for everything. So, I don't take paint and chemicals because I'm always afraid of them leaking through the trailer and basically leaving a line of white paint through an apartment complex and then getting told that I need to pay for the cleaning of that. And I'm sure that could be a easily $1,000+ job for pressure cleaning and possibly repainting. So I'm always nervous about that too. So my game plan is to use marine grade plywood on the floor. I've done the cutout measurements. I can buy, because they're not cheap, but they're more sturdy for like wind and rain and resistance and whatnot. I can buy 3 boards. They come in 4x8 sheets. This is a 6.5 by 14-foot trailer. 8 feet on 2 boards would be 16, so I get to cut it in half. And it's 6.5. Well, it's technically a little under 6.5 feet wide. I'll show you the picture later, like when we do the build. But basically, I can get away with just using 3 boards versus 4 because they're not cheap. But it's pretty much the same thing as regular plywood, just a little bit more resistant to weather. So that's the game plan, is to fill in the bottom and then potentially one day fill in the back ramp either with a steel plate or some kind of wood, because I want to protect the grid. I actually just noticed when I got here, it looks like one of the little pieces have already been kind of pushed in a little right here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's pushed in just a little. We did a storage job a while back, and we had such heavy tile on a dolly that when we went to go pull it up, we got stuck halfway, and the dolly just kind of rested on it for a second, and it concaved it in like this. And that's not like the worst thing ever, but if I go up with the speed pack, for example, and the wheel hits that one crater, it's just that much harder to push a really heavy speed pack up and out. So I'm trying to figure out if I can fill it in or not. I mean, realistically, my brother can cut this off from the gate with a grinder and then re-weld something on top of it, like a steel plate. I can't do aluminum, it has to be steel because aluminum doesn't weld. Or I can just leave it here and just put a plate on top of it and use this as like extra securement and just weld it like right above the lip here like this. So I haven't fully decided that yet. Again, that's not something I'm in a rush for. That can be done whenever. But that is pretty much the game plan. We are going to be painting the trailer white like my current one and sanding it down really nicely so it's smooth. And then we ordered some signage on UZ Marketing. It's a 4x8 foot. I kept it very simple and clean like my current one does. And we're just going to fasten that in. They have grommets every 2 feet. I'm just going to use a thick washer, paint it white so it all matches. And if it gets damaged, I just go buy a new one. It's like $62 or $68 for a 4x8 foot sign, which is a pretty good deal. And you can design it yourself. So I'm just going to have one on each side, and potentially I'll have one on the front of the trailer. I haven't decided yet. But that's the game plan. If it sounds like a lot, it probably is. But I mean, I already made all the designs, and I wrote down all the materials and where to get them at and how much they are. So I already have like an estimate and stuff. So I don't think it's going to be super crazy to do. I think just explaining it sounds like a lot because you're probably trying to think in your head what it looks like as well, as I do when I was designing it. But that is pretty much it. We are going to go pick up our original trailer and go do a job at a storage unit for a repeat client, and then take it from there. So I will see you guys then.